Never mind.
Yeah.
Redone. Okay, perfect. Never mind then. All well. Looks good to me now.
All we need is your presence.
You just have to stand there and stare at it. That's what you need to do. Thanks, Don. All right, guys, I'm gonna call the meeting of the Business and Community Promotion Board at 2:03. Sorry, the sun is like right in my computer, so I think it's 2:03. Hey. Hey, Jay. All righty, roll call. I have Lindsay Valdez online. Steve.
Here.
Lana.
Here.
Me. Sarah.
Here.
Andy.
Here.
All right, Katie let me know she wasn't gonna be able to make it today. They're actually having a really busy day at barbecue and they're short staffed, so she's unable, but I did talk to her about her term. So when we get to that part of the conversation, I do have her references, so we can move forward on that. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Lana, do I have a second? Steve. All right, did everybody review the minutes from the 17th? No. Okay. Anybody else review the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, Tara, you want to approve the minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes.
All right, second?
I'll second.
Yeah. All right, cool. Okay, so we're gonna start with a public comment from a new business in town that would like to share their services with us. So I will go ahead and put their presentation up on the screen. Their presentation was also in the packet for you to review. It will also go out to all the businesses in the community, in the newsletter. All right, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Oh.
Yeah, stand up, come up to the table a little bit so we can catch you on the camera. A little bit forward. Perfect, out of the sun. I can still see you on the camera, so you are good to go.
Okay, so my name is Aida Gonzalez, and we have a security business, one security. It's fairly new, and we decided we wanted to come up here to help businesses here. No small, no too big business are in our way. We take anyone, we do mom and pop shop, big business. I think, people deserves to have to protect their assets. So we're here to promote our business for my first place. And we'll put it up to Georgetown. So the way we do it is that we're an operational risk mitigation service. What we do is we go into the property, we look around, we see where's your high risk, where are your high risk for your businesses. It can be, up for the producers inside. You will all tell us what your risks are in your property. And we'll do the assessments. We'll do the assessments for the whole building. Once we do that, we'll give you numbers, with all this that we assessed, we can give you your numbers. So, well, like I said, we are a mitigation security. This is stuff that we are now doing new. We'll do assessments before we send security out to you. Once we're done with our assessment, then if you would like to hire us, we'll check your service, then we'll check our security. Go out there and do the same assessments, protect your services. And we'll let you know how all that comes up. So we're here to help all your businesses up there.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So all their contact information will be in the packet for you guys. We'll send it out. And then MJ is actually the point of contact normally for this region, right? Yeah, so he's the consultant. He's come to a couple of our meetings already and introduced himself. So he couldn't attend today, but we look forward to having you guys a part of our community. So thank you very much.
We're here to help your business.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, perfect. Yes. Right now I'm having a conversation with them about that. MJ and I are going to talk about that first part of the year. Okay, I don't think we have any conflicts of interest to report. I'm gonna move into the director's report. Big robust report this year. I did have some things in there that I'm asking for your guidance on. So prior to that, did anybody have any questions on the director's report? That I can clarify you. Steve and I went through it, so he got his questions answered. But anybody else board wise, did you guys have any questions on the director's report?
You want me to ask my 77% question, or is that later?
That's later. That's in the strategic plan, since that's budget for next year, but yeah. Hey, Tara? Jeannie, any? Andy? No? Okay, cool. So my guidance is that, we outlined, our board member year terms. And because of the way we staggered, we did stagger 3 board members at a 1-year term. And so Lana, Jeannie, and Katie term is set to expire in February of 26. So now is the time to kind of start that process of whether or not you want to volunteer for another 2-year term or whether you want to step away. The other 3 members, Steve, Lindsay, and Tara, you guys' term sets to expire in 27. And that will keep us on that rotation so that not all the board. The other thing that we did note in our startup was that the city position is the appointed by city council is only a 1-year term. So whether or not the board wants to have Andy just keep going as another 1-year term, or if the board is interested in asking city council to appoint a different staff member and or asking a council member to be on the board were our 2 options in the city position. So those are where we're at. I can speak to Katie. Katie and I spoke and she is very happy to volunteer for another 2-year term. So if the board is in support of that, all we'll do is I'll make the recommendation to city council that she just be reappointed for another 2 years.
I'm happy to stay on, so.
Wonderful. Yay! Okay, makes it easy for me. We don't have to do anything. I love it. Okay, so you guys will get another 2-year term. So on our February meeting, Wonder will come in and she'll swear you guys in for another 2 years. So then your term will expire in 28. Yeah. Math is good, right, Ed? Math is good. Okay, board members, what do we think about staff position?
Would anybody else be willing to do it, or maybe doing it because no one else wants to do it?
What?
How's Andy feeling?
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah. No, I would certainly defer to any council member.
I was gonna say maybe
So-
having a council member.
I don't think they would either, because we all have day jobs as well.
Yeah, if I may, and I'm of course not on the board, but I have been on many boards. I am really impressed with this board, and it's new. And sometimes, frankly, new blood is required. Not right now. The participation is outstanding. And what Steve was just mentioning about our council folks, they have regular jobs, and I really don't think that anybody would be free to attend the meetings during the day. And you have such incredible attendance. It really is very commendable. So anyways, my hat's off to you, my compliments. And as a non-member, I would just suggest that Andy does a good job representing the city.
Good. You voting?
Nope, just a recommendation, because I have to bring it in front of city council. So when I go in front of city council with our strategic action plan and the updates for our 2026 plan, I will just let city council know that you guys are good to leave your board exactly the same. Is that correct, Andy?
Yes.
So I will just do that. Perfect.
Did we talk about a date for you to come to council yet? Or-
It was dependent on how we feel about the strategic action plan and how far, we will need to go to council for my contract
Right.
of
I have
services.
that on the 12th.
That's on the 12th.
Yep.
And if we need to add in, we would do the strategic action plan if we're ready on the 12th, but I'm thinking after Steve and I's conversation, we'll probably want to come in February
That's fine.
again. So we'll start by the 12th for me to go with my contract,
Yeah.
and then.
And And then I think we could also do the positions.
The board positions at that, on the 12th. Yeah, absolutely.
Just knock
Okay.
that out.
Okay. Any other questions, or thoughts on the director's report? No?
You go through it,
No, you guys told me to stop going through it and to just ask if you had questions. Okay, Steve.
Read every word.
I know, but you told me to stop doing that, so now I'm not reading every word, and if you want to bring up things, this is your option to say, is there something?
You just give us a quick dissertation on how the holiday ramble mistletoe market went.
Yes, so Holiday Ramble Mistletoe Market went great, overall for the weather. I think, the weather was really challenging for us. We also had to make some pretty last minute audible changes, and for those changes, I think overall what we proved was a concept like that will work. I mean, I think Amy agrees. I think a concept like that with more forethought and planning could be really successful. I think that it also showed that doing something like a hayride from the downtown district to the Argo is also something that could be super successful. We have commitment to actually have a horse-drawn hayride in the future if we would like to do that for these kind of events, where we're linking East End to downtown. So I think we proved a couple of those things true. We did run our placer data, and obviously we were down over last year because last year, if you remember correctly, while cold, it was really nice weather all weekend. That holiday weekend, awful weather-wise. But again, what I think is really cool is that we saw Bojo's reporting over 2,000 visits, and Tommyknockers visit like over 1,000 visits for just the weekend. So and then most notable was Club Hotel saw 415 visits. And so that in and of itself was pretty impressive. We also handed out the Ramble cards, and last year when we did the Ramble cards, we got 7 turned in completed Ramble cards. This year, I got 43 turned in Ramble cards. So we're talking big wins. So we added those 43 into our gift card giveaway. So they'll be entered to win one of the $500 shopping sprees that we're going to be giving away. We got a lot of good feedback about the Burro reindeer rides. I think Steve and I talked about the importance of, we could really enhance the tree lighting aspect of the experience by closing 16th all the way. We got lots of really good feedback about having Santa at Club Hotel inside 2 years in a row. They like it. They like that there's kids' activities, something to do. It was busy the whole time. There was lots of people in and around. I feel like if we closed 16th on that day and had the burros running in between the park and 16th, that would be cool, as well as maybe creating some additional vendors on 16th if the weather is delightful. Might be a really good opportunity for us to enhance that Saturday activity to be a little bit more robust than we currently have it. There's a lot of momentum behind that. I do believe next year we plan on moving the mistletoe market back to the Argo. Yes, however, I do think if we entice enough vendors, it's also a possibility of us still hosting vendors inside the restaurants. I had multiple vendors that were like, hey, could we do this more often? Like, could we be in here? I mean, both the Bojo's management and staff, as well as Steve and his staff, really were, I mean, the Tommyknockers vendors stayed open for an additional hour and a half after the market officially closed because they were so busy. And they were having such a great time.
That's a question.
Yeah.
What if also all of the shops that are on Minor, if they had some sort of special something for that weekend? So whether they like move all of their Christmas stuff to the front, or there's some sort of incentive for people to go in and out of the stores, because even if the weather was bad, I think if they had been stops on the route also, if they had something, special to offer that day, so maybe if there's some pre-planning on that end, then you could really have it be from Tommyknockers to the Argo. Maybe we have like an extra little shuttle that's not the hayride, or maybe to just really make it like a big, a big market like that.
Yeah. Tara, from your perspective on, I mean, you had a decent amount of people coming in with their Ramble cards already and people that you told about it.
Yeah, I love that concept and appreciate it. It was Small Business Saturday and Black Friday,
Yeah.
so I think that momentum's already kind of there, and most shops do kind of like will run a special or have some kind of like holiday moment going on. I think building on that would be good, but I still think it was present.
Oh, I did
That
think
makes
it was
sense.
present,
Yeah,
but
I think building on it would be good.
I'm new to the area,
Yeah.
so I went to the Georgetown market for the first time ever this year, and I also went to the market down in Denver, the Christmas market down there, and I was like, what are the best things about all of these things? And I just really loved the idea of there being like special stuff in the
Totally,
store.
yeah, absolutely. I think it's there, but there could be more and it could be better.
Yeah.
One thing I do know, and this is just something for us as a board to consider, the fireplaces in Citizens Park were a humongous hit. Like, I legitimately never saw them empty. Both on Saturday and Sunday, we had them lit. We had them lit in the evening on, Saturday for the tree lighting, and then I left them lit all day Sunday for the market, and I will tell you, they were a large hit. And so when and if we're considering remodeling Citizens Park and thinking about ways to enhance that place, it is important to think about winter features in a way, and Ed's looking at me like, no fire city.
You'd rather have fire than water. Right?
Right.
There's water there.
Well, would you rather me have a fireplace than a fountain?
I want you guys to have everything that you want.
Oh, yeah, so I can have, you heard it here first, I got a fireplace and a fountain, guys.
You're kind of partial to fire.
I like fire.
The Evergreen Walk has those big, big garbage cans.
Yeah, the
basically,
barrels.
All the way along,
Yeah.
so those are fun too.
Yeah, so Steve brought up a good point, though, that propane is expensive and those tanks, the 2 days we did go through a tank for both of those days.
$35, not bad for working days, but to try to use it every day.
Yeah.
It adds up.
Yeah, so then there's consideration around all that. So just to note, we did get a lot of positive comments about having the fireplaces in Citizens Park and that it was a nice feature to add. One thing I will note is that we did get several conversations around revamping the decorations in Citizens Park and considering maybe bringing them more on brand. So as we look towards that for next year, kind of thinking about how we might be able to bring the decorations in Citizens Park more on brand, might be worth the conversation in the future. Oh, I did think, and this might be part of our event, is getting a banner that we can use, both maybe at the roundabout and then a banner that we could put in Citizens Park that we could use as an evergreen banner that could be used every year for this weekend that says Idaho Springs Holiday Ramble and says, tree lighting, blah, blah, blah. Because we still have people that are confused. I had one resident who literally wrote me this long Facebook message about how disappointed she was that we changed the Santa event. And I'm like, as I've been here for 10 years and we've never changed the Santa event, except for the fact that we moved it inside because people were freezing. Other than that, 10 years, the Santa event has always been on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So she sent me this humongous long thing, how she missed being able to have a picture with Santa with her grandson and blah, I literally, and she would not everyone. So
Right.
she's one of several who are like, come on.
Is there anything at exit 240?
No.
A banner,
We would love to put a banner.
like
I think,
by the bus parking lot.
I think that would be a great idea. I mean, again,
You
just
had a thing up there that you could put banners
a
on.
banner on, again, even if we just got 3 banners, one for each of the exits, and then a banner in Citizens Park, and we make them evergreen banners, the weeks, we can say the weekend after Thanksgiving, so that it's not a banner we have to redo every year. So I just do think that that's extraordinarily important.
I'm not sure about the West End one.
because there's not a whole lot of people that.
internal.
that-
And Carla just said online that the small park, will be done, that the small park will be completed at exit 240 next year as well. So we,
Small problem.
yes, the small park, across from the rec center. So that park will
4 Point
also, the 4 Point Park, will also be done next year, so that might be a good location for a banner, I think is
It
what
might
she
be
said.
off in the back a little bit.
Yeah, versus on the fence right there.
Right, like right behind the shack.
Mm,
Or we can find a way to put one on the bus stop building.
Right.
That would be cool,
That's right
too.
there, yeah, it's out of the CDOT right away, it's on city property.
The A-frame you had was good, really.
yeah, we borrowed Club Hotel's A-frames, that helped a lot and had those out with signage. Obviously I would have preferred more professional looking signage, but we only had 3 days, so I made the best with what I had. So for next year, if we're doing something, having more wayfinding signage like that, I think professionally designed, is a way to, it makes some improvements to this event. I do think we have an opportunity to really grow this event. Doing it 2 years now with the Ramble theme, we're starting to get some momentum behind people, and the vendors all really had great things to say. And I curated a pretty specific group of vendors, all pretty high value vendors, and I think everybody really had a good time. Amy?
Is there ever any talk of some sort of programmable sign anywhere?
Yeah.
Okay.
The mayor says we're getting one.
Oh, nice.
We do have, plans to put one at the new police station. It's not part of the current project, so
Oh,
it may be, maybe in the following year budget.
Okay.
But that is something we thought about for both the police station and then just for community events. That would be a sign that could scroll through.
Yeah.
You know, when the council meeting is, upcoming events, things like that.
Yeah, that'd be
Left
great.
lane closed ahead.
Left lane.
Wonder if you could negotiate with people who buy the Carlson building to have them allow the city to put one on that corner.
Have to. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
that would be an excellent
It's
idea.
the spot.
Yeah, that is another really important gateway spot. So those are important places. So that's my review. And is that thorough enough for
Yeah,
you?
then under line 4, the budget. It
Yeah,
says the largest investment area to develop the website and marketing development is only activation of 87.5. Some of the things are itemized. I can't really add it up in my head if it was 87.5.
it doesn't.
And then, like, it says website, how much did you actually spend on the website?
5,000 on the website altogether. Ross and Kent really did us a favor there, guys. Like, really did us a favor. Also, FYI, Ross and Kent made it so that I can do, now that the framework is built, the rest of the work falls on my shoulders. So that's why we did it on that cheap side. So now essentially all improvements to the website, minus some small consultations from Ross and Kent if there's programming stuff. Everything else is stuff I can do from a plug and play sense.
It's like a fraction of the, that's like 10% of what the website would cost.
Yep, so a lot of that website and allocation money, obviously brand development, there was a huge chunk of money that went to brand development. A huge chunk of that money went to our promo video. And a huge chunk of that, well, the remaining of it went to our first official paid campaign, which is happening right now. Which will have feedback for all of its visits and all that in January. But I will say that our website traffic is up 60% in the last 30 days.
Wow.
So that's a huge number. So, and that's honestly really the only thing I can equate to that is the paid advertising. Because we're calling out, go to visit idahospringsco.com.
There's been a
And
lot of publicity too. so-
yeah, tons of publicity as well, yeah. So, yep. Any other ones you wanted to call out in my?
Nope.
Okay, cool. Since I'm no longer reading it all the way through. Okay,
Hey,
so the
Sadie, I had one quick question about the website.
yeah.
So when you go to a Google search, just Idaho Springs, Colorado, or what, it's difficult to find our website. So I'm just
Yeah.
wondering if there are some things we can invest in, SEO stuff to, whatever that looks like to just get us more visible.
Okay, so we do have Gregory Eisenhart here today, to talk some things through. So we did, spend some money to optimize our SEO. SEO takes time, as everybody knows, it takes time to build that. We're working on some other things from an AI analytics standpoint. So these are key goals for 2026. There's a website, if anybody knows who owns it, please let me know. Visit idahospringscolorado.com. It is a copy of the Historical Society website. The number on there is actually the Historical Society Visitor Center number, but it is not owned and operated by the Visitor Center. It is not associated with the Visitor Center or the Historical Society, and it is eating our SEO.
Is that frozen fire?
It's not. Greg and
On it, it just says this site can't be reached, so it looks like it was pulled down.
What?
I've been kind
go,
of
Lindsay.
hysterical. I have been like hammering around town, talking to all people that I thought might be running this website as a shadow website. So maybe I talked to a person that it was, and they decided to take it down. I'll tell you about that later. So anyway, if it disappears, great. Thank goodness. But we are, Lindsay, focusing on that. That's one of, Gregory and I's key priorities for the first part of 2026 is working on pulling us up in the search. But SEO takes time, but we are currently 90% through the way of optimizing.
I just emailed him again, but you've got a lot of wonky stuff out there for years, so that doesn't help you, okay?
And then the other thing you mentioned that would be really helpful is if places like Tommyknockers,
Exactly.
Argo, Bojo's, the Visitor Center, Tourism Bureau is already doing it, and they're linking our website. So doing some co-linking will really help us. So on people that have established high SEO sites, having them link us as the Visit Idaho Springs official page, like for all of your information, visit and have our link as a direct link in their website will really help. So I'm working with the Bojo's team for that. Steve, it's the first time he's heard about this, but it's on my list of things to talk to Steve about. So for those kind of things, parking, and we're already listed on Interstate site.
And Argo will be going very robust.
Yeah, when Argo's site is up and going, we'll be really working with them as well on that. So it's definitely a key. That would be great. Yeah, so those are key priorities. So thank you for Lindsay for asking that.
I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is what does AI do every day to change organic search? And nobody really knows. I mean, so content on page, all those things become more critical, Sadie blogging, all that stuff is so important. And then when you have wonky stuff out there, when the bots go out to crawl, they don't, well, what am I doing here? So I would not expect any great gains on your SEO for probably mid-year. It's gonna take some time, because people that are optimizing currently, they're not just gonna give up their position. So Sadie does a great job staying on top of all this. So you got your traditional SEO, your blogging, but the more traffic that comes to the site, the more relevant it becomes in Google's eyes. So when direct traffic goes up substantially, and it's 60%,
Up 60% over 30 days
the
ago.
only attribution to that can be your television campaign, because you have no search going on otherwise. So the community on the Front Range is seeing it, responding, and going to that URL. That's a good thing. And then I think some of this traffic that we've seen here, of course, the one weekend that we had a nice event, it just was lousy, right?
It was terrible.
So, and then, yes, and the Argo has gotten numerous, that all helps drive search, so we're
Would it
trying.
help if we all went every day, if we put a reminder?
Well, I think the
to,
backlinks
visit
are
it?
really important, and if you get, Brian can help with that, but the more, there's several things that they look at, and they just had a big algorithm change back, I think in September. So, you're always having to stay on top of this stuff, but what is AI search? I don't have answers for you all the time, because I can't keep up with it. All right.
Jonah has spent a lot of time for us, so that when you're in ChatGPT and you search for an itinerary, we always come up as the
Right.
lodging priority.
Mhm.
But it does take a lot of time to track where it's coming from, where is it looking, like what it's
Yeah.
doing. And then making sure you're on those sites and
And then you
staying
got
on.
Grok, you got Gemini, you got all
Yeah.
these other sites out there. I mean.
Yeah.
So what we've learned is a little AI trick, the more we can, it's not like organic stuffing on the back end, but best in Idaho Springs, do that all for your own personal websites. Because when somebody's doing an AI search, what do? Where's the best microbrew in Lake County? Bang, put that on your website. That all helps in a cumulative effort, okay? I see a lot of positive things going on in the reporting, so we're trying, but it's not easy.
Sadie, just a quick question, are the gift cards, this first promotion stops the
Uh,
17th?
The 17th is the
Yeah.
first promotion of the gift cards,
But
so
then you
that's,
got it again,
we could do it again.
we can't extend the 17th because you set the deadline, it's just such a great last minute Christmas gift.
It is, so the 17th is technically the day of it, so honestly, the reason is so that we hoped that the $500 winners will infuse it into the economy before the end of the year. So the people that win the $500 cards, hopefully they spend it before the end of the year, because that would be spectacular. That was kind of our reasoning behind ending the gift card promo early. We do know that we potentially could restock that promo. We have some interest from Interstate to do it again, and or CDOT is also interested. Kramer, not CDOT specifically, Kramer is interested in sponsoring it again, so we could run it again and do something similar. But the promo does end on the 17th
In 2 days, right?
in 2 days. Yeah, so last minute, get them now. We've sold 17 and then 43 additional people will get thrown into that pot because of the holiday. So it's great odds. And Steve was asking if there was rules, because Steve bought a gift card.
Pretty good odds right now, there's only 17 cards and 10 winners.
I'm gonna buy 10. They're great gifts, I mean.
Yeah, great gifts, great gifts. And on that note, we will be onboarding this week, everybody else. So I will be sending out invitations to all the businesses who are non-retail. If they want to be onboarded as someone that can accept the Idaho Springs gift card. So you can spend your Idaho Springs gift card at all participating business. So I'll start sending out invitations to onboard those businesses in the next week. So those emails will be going out this week, and we'll start onboarding restaurants and the rec and other services as well. So you could use the gift card in other places. So that's it. Okay. First action item that I have for you guys, the board, you guys got an email about the CTO proposal change form. I just need an official motion to approve that unless somebody has any questions about that.
I'll move to make that change or request that change.
Okay, do I have a second?
Okay.
Tara, all in favor?
Hi.
Okay. Lindsay, you don't have any problem with that, do you?
Nope.
Okay, cool. So the next thing is the contracted renewed contract for me. I sent you guys the scope of services for 26. The reason the front page is so heavy with kind of that language is because 77% of my salary is being allocated to parking enterprise. And so Andy and I felt it was important to justify that to city council and explain why it's important that that's happening. So that front page is really helping them understand that my scope of work really is vastly about planning, about solving problems in the city, about helping make sure that we have a plan moving forward. So that's why it's so heavy on the front page. But the next couple of pages is really everything that I do, and it isn't in any order of like priority. It's just a brain dump of everything that I do and I've done this year and will continue to do. Steve promptly pointed out to me that this is like 3 people's jobs.
If you try to read this thing, it's like at least 3 people's jobs right here. Some of them, like just the social media part of it, it's a $2,000 a month contract with somebody just to do that.
So I'm gonna give Sadie a little props here, may I interject? I'm sorry. Sadie asked me if I could get some more bonus weight on Fox 31. They just agreed between now and New Year's to give you an additional $3,000 at no charge.
Oh, that's great.
Perfect. And these are the partnerships I spend a lot of time cultivating for us. I mean, you know, I spend a ton of time making sure that everybody is heard and everyone feels seen. I'm grateful that council was supportive of allocating a percent of my salary to parking enterprise so that we could get a raise in there. Mainly so that this position is competitive when and if you need to hire someone else outside of me. I'm not going anywhere this next year. However, I just want you guys to have someone in this role, be able to attract the right caliber of person into this role, when and if I leave.
I also thought it was important that somehow it gets communicated that the parking funds are going to good stuff like this. Because I know that was a big problem with people saying the parking structure was going away. Well, that money is being used, and they're saying, what's happening to the money? Well, it's being used for good things like this.
And if I may, the agreement is that the parking funds go to fix the parking problem. And this is very key, because Sadie isn't trying to get more visitors here during our busy summer season when, right? I mean, we've got all kinds of parking right now. So Sadie's trying to promote folks to come and use this really when we could absorb them. So she very much is helping to get to the bottom of it.
I have a question.
Sure.
About the 77%. That's a large percentage of her role. And so if we're putting into the budget, into city council minutes, that 77% of Sadie's role is being paid for by parking, doesn't it then make sense that 77% of her effort could at some point be asked why it's not going to parking? And I don't think that's how her job actually breaks out. So I guess my concern is at some point with somebody in council or somebody else who had some kind of standing in this issue, ask the question of, well, is Sadie spending 77% of her time on parking issues?
Are you?
I spend a lot of my time on parking issues. I don't know, I mean, I don't track my time in that way, so it's really would be so hard for me to say. I did say at council when this came up that I spend in excess of half of my time on parking related issue. And as the mayor says, part of that is justifying that when I'm promoting an event to fill parking, that's also solving for the parking. When I'm figuring out how to manage a content calendar to only attract traffic during peak or non-peak periods, that's also solving for a parking problem and directing things. So it's hard to justify.
And I don't have a problem with it. I'm just concerned, will somebody else somewhere else have a problem with it?
Tara.
Oh, let's pretend that happens, right? And then she can be like, well, I, will uphold that, yada, yada, but I also need to do my other things, so I cannot do my other things, so you have to give me more money. Because the issue is that there wasn't enough, right?
Yeah, but my concern is like now we're saying that only 23%
Right,
is coming from business promotions,
Right.
which
and if they're wanting
So,
her to shift
if there becomes some kind of question in that, and again, I'm not opposed to it at all. I'm just asking the question of, would there eventually be some kind of conflict that we could potentially run into by doing this?
Yeah, so like, I guess my theory is like, if that conflict were to come up, then like the leverage would be, so if you want my full job, like I'm already doing all these other things, right? Like, let's say it's 50%. And they
Yeah.
still want her to show up at that 100, and like they're wanting to push her into parking for that other part. And we can be like, okay, well, these other things are also valuable assets. Pay me for that
Okay.
too.
Right, but
Maybe.
also, they're not. We've already determined that that's not going to
Right.
happen.
Not for next year.
Not
So
for next
I
year.
think
Yeah.
also, and staff and I have talked about this, I think 27's budget is gonna look very different than 26's budget. 26's budget was conservative based off unknowns for a lot of things. Unknown what revenue Argo is gonna bring, unknown what revenue adding 200 units to our housing count is gonna bring. So there was a lot of uncertainty in 2026 budget planning. So this was and Andy, correct me if I'm wrong,
Spot on.
I think this solution was a solution for next year to make sure that the raise could get in there and that the 26 community promotion budget would remain unchanged. Do I think that 77% of my salary in 27 would be allocated the same? Probably not.
Yeah, because from the last community meeting, there's always a lot of questions around that particular fund and how that money is being spent. And it seems to be something that is more contentious than most anything else.
Yeah.
And so I just want to make sure that if somebody is asking questions, that there is a real valid reason why.
It seems like most of the line items here overlap with the business community also. And it's like, so well, yeah, it says out of the parking fund, but all these items are related to business community promotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I just, again, just want to make sure that we
No, totally.
have the right
Yeah.
story to tell if people start asking questions.
Andy, do you feel like confident that we can justify it this year?
I think so because, the parking fund is there to, in a very big, to a very large extent to help businesses.
Mhm.
Your
Yeah,
position
exactly.
is helping businesses, you know, the council stepped up to do more for businesses. And one way you can do that is through the parking fund and getting the turnover, reinvesting into parking, more parking options, not just downtown, we're now expanded to the East End. So I see a very close correlation now, whether it should be a particular percentage, you know, that we look at the cost allocations every year. But yes, I think there's a direct correlation.
I think they'll be happy about it because they don't have to raise their budget and money's coming from somewhere in the right state. They're gonna be happy about it.
And I would just add that there's about $900,000 coming in every
I know,
year.
but people are always like, but you said you were gonna build a parking garage with that,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that
especially
is
for
the
clients
kickback
and
that
stuff.
constantly gets, it's like, so now you're spending that money to do business promotion, not to build a parking structure.
I always
And-
say that the federal
so-
monies didn't show up and that's why.
Well, that's exactly what happened.
And so it's,
Yeah.
that's honestly the truth.
Right,
Right.
right.
But
But-
people were getting pushback to that at the last community meeting.
Well, they don't understand the funding.
No, and they were,
Yes.
I
Which
would
is my
also
concern
suggest,
entirely.
I know, I hear you.
Gnarly, none of those people were there 6 years ago when we hammered that out.
I know,
So,
but we got the facts.
but it was where I was just going with about 900,000, in the parking, that's expected in 2026. Sadie is only, absorbing like $61,000, so
A
it's
small
a
part.
relatively small part, and I think that, she will do a big part in helping to fix the problem.
Sarah. Just like bring up that came up in that work session, with council, when like the questions were coming up about it, were getting more money with our business licenses. So that could also potentially be a solution in the future for budget, is like, the original issue was that we weren't getting money for the city, from the city for something like this. But now I think having more of a buy-in from the business is on the other end, so that's like maybe another source for her position, like.
Yeah, well, and again, I am not opposed to the raise,
No,
I'm
yeah,
not
I
opposed to
agree.
any of that.
Yeah,
I'm
someone's
just
gonna
saying,
ask
like,
that question
people are
too.
gonna be like,
Yeah.
but
The
why?
narrative has to be clear.
Right.
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
okay, thank you.
awesome.
The other thing I might just add is that, I know people are focused on the parking structure, and that has been what's been discussed all along, and was the plan.
Yeah.
But we were throwing some curveballs over the years that were beyond our control. We purposely went after the Hail Mary with the federal planning grant to not just do a parking structure or a transit center, but to do a more comprehensive plan for downtown. So we are getting that piece designed at no cost to the city. I mean, that's being done, you know, through that federal grant. We did not receive the capital grant, you know, some priorities have changed, things like that at the federal level. But we are still actively looking at other options for parking in the interim. So I think we probably need, I think we need to think it's not necessarily the parking structure that's the solution, maybe in the long run, but trying to find more parking spaces and be a little more creative or a little more efficient with our parking operations is also makes a lot of sense. So
Agreed, and some of the pushback that we were getting from that was like, well, if you just keep tearing down buildings and putting in parking, does that change the nature of the town?
Right.
And so there was some pushback from that, there was people who did not understand what the mobility hub was. That was very confusing. And I saw, I think in your director's report, you talk about providing some more educational opportunities around that so people understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, HDR is gonna help me create a fact sheet.
Yeah, because once you start talking about mobility hub and explain to people what it is, they get much less excited about it. And
Right.
so,
And just the terminology is confusing, I think, to a lot of people. When CDOT talks about mobility hubs, they're talking about what a lot of people would think of as a transit center.
yes.
Now, we made it not just a transit center, not just parking structure, not just transit center, but a plan for the whole downtown and doing that design. So I think going forward, and I'm telling myself this, I need to be a little more clear when, we're communicating about what it is. What is the mobility plan versus like a transit center? Right? So, because yes, there's some disappointment that, well, right now it looks like maybe the state funding will only go towards a transit center. And won't fund it won't help our parking problem, won't fix Minor Street, those sorts of things. Very, very valid concern, but we also feel we just need to keep pushing forward,
Yeah.
and with the resources that we have, we need to find solutions. So I think that's really and yes, it's a change in direction a little bit, but someday I think we'll likely have a parking structure, but right now we just don't have the money for it. The costs have skyrocketed.
Which then somebody said to me, yeah, but the costs weren't as high a few years ago, and
Very
they said they
true.
were gonna do it before they decided to go down the federal grant route, and so.
Okay.
I mean, lots
That's
of
fair.
fees,
But
That's fair.
we
let's
got-
not,
yeah.
let's not forget,
I'm not saying I agree, I'm
No,
saying like,
no,
this is
you're
what-
right.
I'm saying this is what people are
It's
saying.
important to
Yeah,
hear
they're
that.
saying
But-
this, how do you combat
but
it?
8 years ago, the businesses did not want a special assessment on their properties because we were gonna build it right away.
No, I remember, we even owned our property then, so it wasn't even 8 years ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't wanna get us sidetracked.
Yeah.
There's a lot to cover today. I appreciate all of you guys.
You're always
and
keeping us on track.
I try. Okay, there's so much to talk about.
One last thing,
Yeah,
I just throw this in there. The parking lot that we are.
Sunshine
working on over
Cafe
there.
lot, yeah.
All right, we had some stuff go wrong at the reservoir,
Oh,
but we're finished with that.
the reservoir
And
is,
for the rest of
Did you
the,
reach the reservoir?
we did.
All right.
And for so for
We
the
got the
rest
big
of the
loader.
week, we're gonna focus on that parking lot and get it open
Nice.
for the Christmas break.
yay, there's your
You guys have
question,
your help.
Lindsay.
All right, thank you.
You answered a question without even being asked. I was gonna ask that, cause somebody online asked about that.
Thank you. Sadie, I don't know if you can hear me, but I just lost audio.
All right, so now video and audio should be back, hopefully online. You guys can hear me.
Good to go. Thank you.
you.
Look at
Okay,
you.
love it when the solution that Dylan gives me works. Okay, last item, well, there's one short item and then the major item. So
I'm not joking.
I have on the agenda for you guys to approve the strategic plan, but I think Steve and I met and there's a lot more work to do. So instead of approving it, I just want to kind of start getting your guys' feedback and understanding of it. Gregory is here to talk about the services that Thrive gives us and why that's important. Michael Kassenbaum is at the back. Wave, say hello. There he is. He's here to talk about some things that he's helped and willing to help partner with us on, which is awesome, which is a huge cost savings, as well as like will really help us get robust in our content in a way that will have some really great things to not only do the portrait of a business campaign. However, we'll have access to all of that B-roll to create ads and other things that we can then use with Gregory to do paid advertising, paid social, all these things. So Steve and I sat briefly on this. I didn't get it to him in advance as much as he would have liked because it took him a long time to read it. And so he and I need to sit down and go through this. So there's a couple of different options with this. And Andy, please again, correct me if I'm wrong. We could request doing an executive session where it's just the board meeting in a private meeting where it would just be board members where we could hammer this all out. So that's one option. Option two is Steve and I could meet and hammer this all out with some recommendations, and then we bring the recommendations to the board in January and we could review it in a public forum. So those are kind of the two options in the way forward to how to break out our budget. So our budget does remain the same. It doesn't look the same because a lot of my salary is now in parking. So the community promotion budget is $211,109. Board members, you guys got a spreadsheet that Steve asked that I give you that helps you understand this better in a more of like a format way. So I asked city staff to reorganize the community promotions budget line items, so it's easier for me to track and report budget. This year has been a torture to track and record budget. It is so hard for me to understand where the money is because the line items don't line up to the way that we're spending them. So we're going to be creating this new coding so that we have it all allocated in the way that we're spending it so that I can report it to you more accurately, as well as I can budget more accurately and have a better understanding of it. So the total amount of the budget is $211,109. 23% of my salary is in there. I allocated this in the same format in 2025. So 68,000 for events, 10,000 for miscellaneous organizational requests, no change to our beautification budget because a lot of that beautification budget ends up getting fundraising money in it from the flower program, the garland program. There's fundraising money that goes into that then we can still use to donate to beautification projects if we want, or like this year we donated to the skate park. So that's still there. There is a slight increase to our holiday decorating budget for next year, and that's just to add some additional improvements to our lighting contract. There's my 21,000 for other contractual services, then 70,000 being allocated to website and marketing, 1,000 for contingency, and 10,000 for grants. So right now that $10,000 grant commitment is for Jess for the Towns to Trails grant that we've already been awarded. I am applying for another grant. So we could need to increase that if we were awarded the wayfinding grant, which is in our budget or in our scope. 5,000 would be the match if we were awarded that grant. So that would be reducing website and marketing by 5,000 and increasing the grant by the grant line item if we're awarded that grant.
So then my example of why it needs to be drilled down a little bit more, because the board guidance is how much of the budget would you like to allocate to that action step?
Yeah.
well, it's kind of hard just to look at it in paragraph form, and if you're gonna take some from one category and add it to another, it's gonna have to be done in a format like this. Cause like, some of this stuff I don't even know, how much it's worth, like, what does that mean on the budget?
Yeah, so like, for example, in the strategic action plan under the website and marketing development, the budget is 70,000, and then, you know, I'm requesting allocation of 2,000 of that, you know, for some, just essentially really holding a place of 2,000 in case I need to have Ross or Kent do custom coding on the website. That is really why that's there. But then there are things like up to the board. How much do you guys want to, of that 70,000, how much do you want to allocate towards paid marketing? Essentially, how much do you want to allocate towards an influencer category? I do feel like it's important that we partner with some influencers. County is going to be partnering with some influencers. However, if we want to bring in, entice an influencer into Idaho Springs, we have to pay them. We can't just give them comps. They require compensation for their time. PR services, Gregory is being amazing and willing to extend his contract without raising his prices, which is, we're already getting a hell of a deal for that, you know. And Steve and I mentioned, Steve and I had a conversation and he's like, well, we don't hear from him a lot. I talk to him like 3 times a week, if not more than that.
It'd be great to like have a quarterly virtual to see, come on and see you guys communicate, because every time you speak, you learn something. The way you communicate is enlightening. So it's like, didn't know she talked to you that much. I'm like, what does he do? Like, he gets his deals on things, but there's good knowledge that we learn from if you check in quarterly or something.
I can come as often as you want. I mean, seriously, whatever you would like me to do, I'm happy to do, so. Yes, I talk to you probably 3-4 times a week, no question, so.
Yeah, so we spend a lot of time talking, so, and, you know, I did outline in the strategic plan, like, kind of what he does for that 12,000. And again, I think big things is like, all, you know, when Steve says things like, this is a job of 3 people, it is, and a lot of that ends up, Greg helps me a lot with that. I end up sitting with him to create the calendar, sitting with him to create the marketing strategy, sitting with him to like bounce off, like, okay, this is what campaigns make sense where, how much money do we need to allocate? So first pass goes through Gregory and I, and then I bring it to you guys. So he's really advising me from a big level marketing standpoint of like the most accurate way to spend those dollars, as well as like what it looks like on a big calendar scale. And so and you know, honestly, like the amount of free press we have gotten, a lot of that has come through his connections, as well as, you know, building on the REO. Obviously, we've gotten a lot of free press from that. However, you know, we've gotten free Great Day Colorado segments, which are normally $2,500, and we didn't pay a dime for them.
You have another one coming up on.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, so these are, you know, these are leveraging those partnerships
So next steps, what do you recommend?
well.
So we can get to the point where we understand this and finalize it.
So that's up to you guys. Do you guys want to, as a board, have an executive session where I'll come in with the spreadsheet and all these categories, and you guys want to like dive in deep? Or would you prefer Steve and I dive in deep and then I bring it back to you? Those are your kind of your 2 choices.
I don't think you could truly have an executive session. You could have like a retreat. It
Okay,
would have to be posted and open to the public.
okay,
That's what council does. Having our retreat, we're not talking, you know, negotiations or a land purchase or something like that. There's very few instances where we can truly go into executive sessions. So
okay.
what I'd recommend is either, you know, schedule a separate date to have a retreat. You still have to post it. We usually don't have many people come to our retreats, or I think just to weigh in on my thoughts, I think I'd also be fine with you and Steve taking a first crack at it and bringing back to the board in open session. I think that's fine as well. I think either could work.
Okay, Tara?
Yeah, I agree with Andy. I would be interested in more information on it. But I don't.
So
wanna
how
make
can,
Everyone have to come to that, like even if like you guys, but
I think it's
I know it's
two,
once you have a certain amount of people.
I think it's 2 board members. If I have more than 2 board members.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so it's more than, so if I have more than 2 of you, so I can have 2 of you, no more.
Then it's a meeting.
Then it's a meeting and then I have to like do all the things.
once you do that with 2, doesn't have to be me, it could be anybody, but just get through and bring back the recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, I could do it with 2 of you. That's totally fine with me. Jeannie, what do you think? I'm fine with it. Plan.
I mean, I don't mind sitting through that discussion, but if you don't want the hassle, it's fine too. Like, I'm not.
I mean, it helps me to do it in a more small container first and kind of from a personal preference. If you guys are asking me to give you my personal preference. My preference would be smaller container where I could hammer it out and I would ask Gregory to be there to help so that from a marketing standpoint, we're allocating this money in a smart marketing sense as well. So I would like it in a smaller container and then I would like to be able to bring it back to you guys for a discussion in January, if that's it, like, if you guys are good with that, I can, Steve and maybe Tara or Steve and Lana or whoever wants to do it, I'm happy with that, but I would like to, I would prefer it smaller, get it more, divide it out.
Let's do that.
Okay, let's do that. Okay,
I think so, just try to move it forward and
sweet, then we'll do that. So what,
I think
well,
that's a good idea too, the smaller, and then also if it can be on a spreadsheet with the notes versus the paragraphs. I
sure.
agree with Steve, I think it's easier to see it more. on a
So have
spreadsheet
this
with
be
notes.
more just like KPIs, keep the budget numbers out of this, have
P&L
this be
format,
more,
P&L
and then
format.
have this.
Yeah, P&L format would be lovely. Yeah, there you go. Now you're speaking my language, Steve.
Love
Businesses
it.
are talking.
And the other thing is, you could do a quick, small group with 2 of us and then another quick small group with someone else. Like you and Karen get together and go through it.
If I was just listening.
I'm
to you
okay
guys,
with you guys just.
Yeah.
Steve and I would be the only two.
That's a way that is perceived as trying to get around the sunshine law.
Yeah, I'm okay, you guys do
Yeah,
your
you guys
thing.
do your thing.
Yeah.
But wouldn't, like,
You can have
because
one
we're the
more
only
person.
board
right?
members, right? Couldn't
What?
I like listen in? Cause you're not a board member.
Yeah, so I could have you 2 there and me
Yeah.
and Greg, Yeah.
Oh, okay,
but that's it.
okay.
So you wanna do that?
Yeah.
Okay, Tara's in.
I think you
Yay.
just volunteered.
And like TBD to be able to be in that session.
Yeah.
If it's not legal.
One thing I do wanna do is just make sure, so Michael Kassenbaum, would you like to introduce yourself, sir, so that people know who you are?
Hey.
Hey, you have to come up and see, you can be on the camera, come up a little more, you're good right there, perfect.
Hi. So I always told people that I lived in Colorado all my life, even though I didn't. And it was a little weird. I was in Aspen and Telluride, like from 7 till 10. And I haven't lived in Colorado since until here. And but I always said I live in Colorado. And whoever was with me, girlfriends or whatever, they're like, Michael, because I've lived in so many places in the world and I always would say Colorado. And then when I decided, I was nearly 60 and I realized like I've never owned anything, never owned a house, never owned anything except my cameras and my laptop. I knew I wanted to come to Colorado and I was wondering where. And I took drives all around and I drove up to Fall River Road and like Virginia Canyon and I came through Idaho Springs and I fell in love with it. And Andy was one of the early guys I met. And so I care about this town. And as a place where I live, it's a main home of mine. And I care about it also because I like the idea of promoting it, of sharing it with the world. So however I can do that, I've made movies all my life. I get along well with Sadie. I get along well with a lot of people I've been meeting here. And I know how to make movies. I've made hundreds of promotional movies, mostly around advocacy, but a lot of brands. And so I'm qualified. I don't need to make money with this position. And I can just hear what everybody thinks, get creative with you all, and create content that promotes the town however you want it promoted. And the last thing I want to say is, given that I was a child in Tel and in Aspen, those two towns I witnessed, I was young, but I witnessed, and in going back there as a teenager and also in my early 20s, I witnessed those two towns deal with the issues that I think maybe Idaho Springs is dealing with. You know, how to attract tourism, how to keep integrity, how to keep the people that have been living there all their lives happy. And so all of those issues I kind of witnessed. So I think I'll be good in this position, whatever it is, of just working with Sadie and working with you all to create stories that promote this town.
Yay. So, Michael is a really talented filmmaker, and if you are curious, definitely dive in, Google his name and find the delightful, what's it, IMDb, his credits. There it is. IMDb, I didn't know I was gonna get the acronym. But he did do the, our first portrait of a shop owner that we did, with Sit and Chill, that's up on the website. We've been brainstorming about how to expand that campaign to help it so it's more all-encompassing and more service for how we want to apply it next year. And we're gonna kind of, what we think the best way to do is transform that into a portrait of a business kind of campaign. Steve brought it up as well, is that sometimes the person that is the face of a business isn't always the owner. And so it's important to highlight that, as well as talking about capturing, you know, key locals who, you know, we get to get Bob Bolin in front of a camera before we lose it. Like we get to capture his stories, we get to capture his history, we get to capture some of these awesome opportunities. And the nice part about Michael is he's willing to give us access to the B-roll, which is huge. He's willing to shoot a lot of content, help us edit it down into formats, but also what we get is that B-roll that then we can use for paid marketing. We can give it to the producers at Fox and say, hey, we're gonna create a commercial for this, use this, create this commercial. And then we aren't having to pay for such, yeah, it's saving us a ton of money. I mean, you guys know, I've shown you guys some of the quotes. I mean, our video, you know, is amazing that we paid $26,000 for that video. Michael's willing to do this at an investment for the year of $7,500 as the start, to kind of start us at that $7,500. And then if he feels like it's rising to a level of like, I might need more than that, he was gonna let us know, but that's a huge.
I mean, you learn how to edit pretty quick, haven't you, write scripts? So
I'm learning
these
so
partners
much.
are all helping us to achieve some really amazing things in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So I think it's great to have that kind of B-roll. And what Sadie's learned is she time codes it, picks her shots, throws that script into ChatGPT, then she puts her own touch on it. And she was able to knock out 4 ads.
Yep.
With Fox 31. Normally, let's say those ads are $2,500 a pop. We're not paying for that. And then in turn, what I care about the most, may I for a second?
Yeah.
I care about one thing more than anything. That's why I've been with Bojo's 31 years. I'm a strategic marketer. I just find really good people under her direction to go out and do the job. And I care about one thing. I call her all the time. And that is a question about replacement.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking for ROI for you guys. That's what I care about.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, because the more great images we have on video, they can be repurposed in Instagram, Facebook, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, very powerful.
So that's kind of where I'm leaning as a key partner. You know, you guys always are saying, let's go local, let's keep it local. So Michael's working on the film festival as well. So there's a lot of key collaborations that are happening here, which are coming together great. And Jess is doing an excellent job, and we're super excited for what's coming with the Towns to Trails. And there's also a potential also of us getting that History Colorado grant, which would significantly be using Michael's skills to be doing some visual storytelling about our history and that tour as well. So we have a lot of things in 26 that if we have the right people at the table, we really could start shining with the foundation that we built this year. So I just really want to thank you guys for the investment that you've made, your
Yes.
time, your energy, supporting me. We're getting so much closer to where we want to be. On that note, Steve was like, okay, how do we track these things? What are the analytics that we're going to be looking at? I know guys on here watching asking me, where are the analytics? Show me the data. So we're going to still use Placer. The county is continuing to use Placer. However, I do believe that the county is going to be purchasing Arrivalist. Arrivalist is a spending platform collection data. So it collects all spending on either debit or credit cards within the county. It can get so granular. It also projects spending. So it says based off of these people's spending patterns, they've booked a stay at Club Hotel in July of 2026. Based off of their spending patterns, we can predict that this is the approximate amount of money they will boost into your economy, kind of things. They can also tell you how much, so not only can we see visits, which it gives us our leakage and all those things, we can now see how much money these people are spending and where, and it's real time instead of 2 months lag. No offense to our sales tax data.
Wow.
So this is gonna be a great partnership with the county. I'm pretty confident, Jess and I feel pretty confident that, Colton is going to purchase this,
Confirmed.
confirmed.
No,
That is,
Yay!
I'm looking at it right now.
And we get to use it
Wow.
however we want.
Yep,
Through me,
so,
yeah.
yep, we'll be dropping the visa destination insight and we'll be picking up.
Arrivalist.
What's it called again?
Arrivalist.
And it actually has attribution where you can turn your media spend and correlate that into,
Yep, you can
Basi-
link,
I'm sorry,
yeah, you can link in your ad buys. It's gonna be amazing.
predictive analytics too.
It has
Okay.
predictive analytics on spending. It can break us down into we can tell the
Wow.
difference between convenience store spending and gas spending. We can break out our difference in our lodging tax between what's Airbnb and what's, I mean, we can get really, really granular with this data.
What's it cost?
I don't know what we negotiated.
That's not my budget.
Yeah, it's not, it's
Not
coming
my
out of my
budget.
I think I was quoted when I was looking at it for the city to purchase it, because I first was talking to him, I met him at GovCon. So I asked how much would it cost for the city of Idaho Springs to purchase it, he quoted me 18,000, and I was like, oh, too pricey for me.
For the year?
For the year, for the seat, but the county is going to allow the city to access that data, for Idaho Springs municipality, and it gives Jess tons of information that she needs for her position.
And more money back into our budget to spend on actual advertising.
Exactly. As well as what it does is, and not that this table cares about it, but it is nice because Colton is purchasing it out of the county's budget. So he'll be able to share some of those analytics with Georgetown in a way that will help them feel a little bit more supported.
And Placer AI will be gone.
Nope, we'll still use Placer AI mainly because we need to be able to track how many people are using public lands
Right.
and not spending dollars, right? But we'll be able to use these two things in combination together to really give us a true understanding of our ROI. So I can really see if we're targeting increased spending in a specific category, I can then have an immediate data source that I can go to track that. And again, real time versus having to wait 2 months for sales tax data to appear. It's also a really great way for us to see how, like, I didn't know, we did it, I learned it during our Arrivalist demo. We always assume some of our biggest spenders are from Texas, you know, the people that come here that spend the most. Actually, it's Cleveland, Ohio. They spend more money in Idaho Springs than an average person from Texas. Why? I do not know, but Cleveland, Ohio people, man, they like us and they spend like $185 per visit.
And it gets granular enough to tell you where they spend it.
Where they spend it, where they're
That would be a
from,
tell.
where, I mean, you can get
So
super.
this, may I?
Yeah.
So this is where technology comes in. This is where the video becomes so important. If it starts to give you that data, you can literally drop with Google certain type of market. Think about it, you can go right into Cleveland.
Yeah.
If you know that predictive.
Mhm.
So when you go west, stop at Idaho, make Idaho Springs your first stop.
Yep.
Because you know, it's, Mojo's, we use it a lot. We take Experian data and we clone and we find out who those customers are. It's telling you, they're right there.
Yep.
That's gonna be able to help us immensely.
Yeah, so
With digital
we'll,
media for sure.
yeah, we'll really be able to send our paid advertising exactly to the type of person we know is
Wow.
going to be spending the amount of money we would like to see as an average. It gives you that average transaction per visit, which is huge. So instead of saying we're targeting, and this is, you know, we know we get a lot of people from Aurora,
Yeah.
They don't spend very much money. They spend very little money per transaction. They're actually under $20.
What?
Yeah,
That's
they
a-
are our
Oh, yeah.
recreators who are maybe buying gas on the way down the mountain.
Or
May-
bait even coming up.
Yeah, exactly.
Do what?
Bait.
Bait for fishing.
Yeah,
They
they're-
do a lot more outdoor recreation than
Yeah, so again,
trails
just
of town.
can we target them in a way that we're going to be targeting them? Hey, we know you live in Aurora. We also know you don't spend anything. How do we entice you? No, I'm not, that's horrible. We wouldn't do that.
Yes,
But-
I would.
But what I'm saying is this is gonna give us that data, like we know people from Aurora are coming up here, what we didn't know is that they aren't spending any money. Now we can say, okay, we can look at Placer and say, this is where they're coming from, this is how we can get them to spend their money. So I'm really excited about that Arrivalist thing. I
Mhm.
knew when he showed it to me at GolfCon, I was like, oh, this is the solution to Jess and I's problems. One solution, well, it will help us a lot. It will really give us a lot of information that we need to make more educated decisions on how we're spending our money. So there's that. So what I'm hearing from you guys outside of that is that Steve and I and Tara and Gregory are going to get together and get fun with these two documents, and get them all, designed out and then bring them back to you in January. Because the budget's already been finalized and adopted by city council. What's important is how we allocate it and how we choose to spend it. So that's the next step. On that note, you also, board members, you guys received an updated events. Thank you, Amy, for your help on this. This will be the first time in Idaho Springs history by January 1, we have an events calendar that actually has more than just one event on it. and dates.
Film festival's not on.
Was that on?
No,
the
I don't know
agenda?
what, I haven't, I asked them.
It's on my calendar.
I know. Can you remind me of those dates for that?
So we're doing November 6th to 8th.
Okay.
Which I see is also the Pumpkin Smash Fall Festival.
That's a TBD event right now. So to be clear, the Pumpkin Smash Fall Festival is still kind of us trying to decide what we're gonna do with that.
Yes,
Good luck.
it just has to be the Saturday after Halloween.
So give me those dates again, Lana.
We're planning the 6th to the 8th, November 6th to 8th.
To be what, Lena?
The film festival.
Oh. Interesting. Tie it in together.
Yeah, we can watch that.
Yeah.
We can
We could film people on
smashing pumpkins.
Yeah, and I mean.
Very
Western. Yes, it's very neo-western. But,
I added it.
And we do have that, like, I mean, yes, we're not necessarily like publishing it yet, but January 1st, we're gonna start.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it was firm before, I have it on my
Yes.
TBD events, but I didn't have it in my firm events.
We're making it firm because we're gonna make it happen.
Yay, love it.
Yeah.
It will happen, we are there. And even like Michael just left, but like, we're gonna start getting jury, how are we getting films submitted and doing all that at the start of the year.
And I gave you the lady from Bowler.
Yes, yeah, Jonah reached out to her, but she hasn't responded back, so we're gonna.
Will you copy me on the next one that you send to her, and mention in the email that you're copying me, so that she responds to you?
Well, it's also.
Yeah, so just copy me, and then just so you know, I changed our theming. A lot of these yellow events have been events that people have suggested. And, only reason Argo grand opening is yellow is because it's still TBD and we're in processing. So people have fun, people wanna do a Minor Street progressive dinner, people wanna do the big long table on Minor Street. Cool, I don't have capacity to take on any more events, so the reason a lot of these events are yellow is because that we're looking for a partner. Somebody that's gonna be like, yes, I'm happy to come alongside anybody that wants to do an event in Idaho Springs and support them from city processes to administration to getting everything through. I have zero capacity to take on as the organizer any more events than you guys have already given me.
So that is not on the agenda or anything, that's, only board members have that, right?
It's in the packet.
Not on.
It's on the meeting event, yeah. It's attached, or maybe it's not, it's in the folder. No, you're right, Mary Jane. It's not on the meeting event.
Not here.
It's not on the meeting event, it's on the link to the packet materials.
Just a thought regarding events, because, we all have day jobs. We're all pretty much maxed out and volunteering for things. This is Lindsay, by the way. I'm helping with the film festival. I'm wondering if next, maybe our 27 budget, we look at potentially hiring an events person, a part-time events person that can help Sadie. Because really her job my personal opinion, her job shouldn't be putting on events. It should be the marketing piece, and because that event planning piece is just so much work. And so I'm just wondering if we want to, take a look at that sometime in the future. Just a side note there.
Thank you.
Can I make a suggestion on that?
Yeah,
So MSU Denver Metro and DU Hospitality Schools, you might want to reach out to them. Paid intern program might be something to help you with for that year. The thought.
that's a really good thought. It was on my 2026 budget request, which did not get approved this year. However, Mayor and Andy have said that they feel very confident in 2027 that we will have the legs to get approved for that ask in 27. Amy?
I just also wanted to say, so I work for the CCRD as their events person right now. And that's why we're also trying to collaborate and support Sadie in doing that. And rather than hiring a whole extra support, a whole extra event person, because I'm part-time, we're going to look at also like seasonal paid supporters for these events, so that the people in our town can actually enjoy the events that happen in our town and not be the ones who always have to volunteer so that other people can come and enjoy the events. So we're trying to support Sadie in having these events happen and giving extra help to make them run smoothly and do the planning, and that's where this calendar came from. And so please let us know if there's other things that we don't know about that need to be kind of folded into this grand master plan that we're trying to put together to roll out January 1st.
So this, again, like I said, is the first time we've ever done this, where we've actually had a collaborative main event people calendar where it's far enough in advance that I'm not telling. The goal is to then get this into all the business owners' hands so that then they can see and plan for events in advance and know, hey, maybe I should, as a business, 6:30, planning to market, hey, I'm gonna have 1,000 bikers coming up for the Mad Blue Sky Hill Climb that's gonna happen on the 25th of June or July. And 1,000 of those, and I would say 50% of them are gonna be from out of the state. Hey, it might be good for me to advertise, hey, I got a place for you to stay, not road bikers. You know,
Well, and what was
At
that
double price.
stat Cameron gave us about the day of Slacker?
yeah,
That it's like the highest day or.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
what the stat was,
Slacker.
but-
So like, again, these kind of things for businesses to realize, hey, as a business, I also could market specifically to this group of people that I know is going to come. This will also have in the notes section, once this is finalized, kind of general attendance. How many people are generally coming to these events? Who is coming to this event? So this is gonna grow and be a little bit more robust. It's going to be like a live document. It will be a SharePoint that will be listed in our like community connection section of the website that will be designed for business owners to look at.
And can I, like, so we've talked about this a little bit with Tourism Bureau about like trying to create marketing, like places where people can gather like marketing materials for the event. So like if you're not a super great, like you're not great on social media, you know, because first of all, everybody should have a Facebook and an Instagram and all these things to be doing that, because the more that everybody else is, that our individual businesses are also publishing, it raises everybody's ability to be seen. And so with tourism, we were talking about some of the media kit type of stuff is that where we create some content that's shareable. That businesses can kind of lean into and co-brand and share out. And you can do that through Canva or through other mechanisms. I don't know what you're using or whatever. But that's helpful too.
Cool, I love that
Something
idea.
that,
Well, and Jess and I can get together and maybe I can piggyback on some of yours. Is that
just
cool?
something that businesses can help
Yes.
lean into.
Please, yes.
You know, 'cause
I was like, can we lean in?
Excuse me.
Can we lean in? I don't wanna take that up, but I'll lean into Jess and delightfully.
If there's a good pool of content that our businesses, because they're small business owners, they wear all the hats and do all the things. If there's something that can help them lean into that to be able to push it out too, it just help us market for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I wanted to get this, again, still in draft form, this spreadsheet, as like, you know, Lana's just bringing up film festivals. So we're still working on that. I'm going to get, with the Historical Society as my last, stop. We have a new director of the Historical Society. She's very nice. I have met with her. She and I are gonna meet and talk events to make sure that I have any events that they're aware of. I have a meeting with the Argo team as well to make sure that all of those events are considered, that are any mountain park events that might be on consideration. I will tell you that I met with Comba and pretty much instructed Comba that we are going to be saying no to almost all events for the mountain park. We approved one, but outside of that one for next year, just to give us a year to get our feet under us before we start activating that event space.
Interject on Coma?
Yeah.
Bojo's has gonna make a sizable donation to finish or start a new trail and finish the trail, so. So that's gonna be nice. Big, long one,
Excellent. Glad to hear that.
yeah, so.
So that's the goal of this document, is to kind of just have it as as an understanding, that this is going to be a goal every year. So that when people say, you know, we put an event, and then Jess and I will be using these kind of, calendars at our tourism forum, which will then be a countywide tourism conversation, mainly to talk about the Towns to Trails grant. However, we'll also be doing a grant or a event section of that to talk through so that, you know, we are aware of when other municipalities within the county are also doing signature events. And then again, having the rec participating in this has been huge, and I'm really grateful for Amy and all of her amazing support so far. So that's on that. So all these three documents, the strategic forward-facing action plan, the events calendar, and then the actual budget in a P&L format. Steve. Steve, I support you. I hate P&L formats. Torture me. No, it's okay. I'll put it in a P&L format like this. And we'll have all of these to you guys in January. So the last item that I have for us is that I will be out of town for our normally scheduled meeting. What I've heard from you guys before is that if I'm gonna be out of town, you'd like me to move the meeting. So I would like to recommend we push the meeting back. Steve's like, no, don't make me do it. So I just want to push back on Monday. So instead of the third Monday, it would be the fourth Monday of January, which would make the meeting the 26th of January. So I need a board vote for that.
I so moved.
Lana, any second? Tara seconds, all in favor? Yay, okay, so on that note, open floor, any business updates that people want to share before we close it?
So they're doing this apnea challenge at the rec center. This is free diving, where basically essentially they hold their breath for long periods of time during different events. The longest is like 30 minutes, but they compete for how long they can hold their breath. So apparently, this is a very niche market that I heard that now Mary Jane's daughter does it. And there's something about training at altitude, obviously. So this is the first foray. We have these free diving superstars. Yes.
I already have it on my desk, but I forgot to add it to the.
Okay, so what I'm saying to you guys, Natalie or Drew are going to be reaching out to the Club Hotel because they have all these people who come with them. And I think Tommy Knockers, yes. And then she's also going around to the local businesses, and I've asked her to not ask for money for sponsorships, but what she's going to do is put together a document that says like, while you're in Idaho Springs, or why Idaho Springs is cool, and like get a 10% discount at Frothy Cup. Somebody's gonna put like a bar of soap in the goodie bag, somebody's gonna put, so if they come around, this could be a wonderful thing for us moving forward at the rec center. And also, it is an international event, basically. We're going to be live streamed all around the world. So we want to make a good impression, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Apparently people are flying in from all over for this, and they have doctors there that are gonna be
Yes,
doing analysis on this, how, first one ever done at a high altitude.
yes. So this is like a very big deal.
What you need, or a yes, or whatever you need.
Yeah, so they wanna kind of take over your hotel on that weekend, not for, you know, they will pay you.
They want to pay you. They don't want you to give it to them for free.
What?
February 7th and 8th.
Yeah,
John
Super
was
Bowl
asking.
weekend.
We'll need to lock that in.
Yeah.
Yes, to be on
Already
the
sold
calendar.
out most weekends. for
I told her, I was like, so when she reaches out to you,
Like-
just you can know what, well, you can just know what's going on.
Okay.
I did give
I said I
her,
would tell you all what was going on.
I did give her both of your guys' email address, but I did tell her that it was important she contact you like
Yeah.
as soon as possible. That you guys were getting close to being booked up. Mary Jane.
Yeah, I just wanted to announce that it's official, the first official event at the Argo is the high school prom.
Yay!
That's amazing.
Also, just to tease
Happy
it,
Wednesday.
it's not official yet. We have been approached by Colorado State Tourism to host the spring media reception, which is a huge deal. They host a quarterly media reception. And they would like to host their spring one at the Arco.
We need kids there singing.
Yeah, we need to show off all of our, like, they also would potentially like to partner with Club to be able to offer a block of rooms for that time. I'm working on finalizing some of those details to make sure the timing works out. It'd be a weeknight.
And I believe you and I have a meeting on SEO on Wednesday.
We do. We will be diving into the SEO topic too. I'm really grateful to hear that website went away. Maybe all of my hard work made it disappear.
The image is gone, but like the text is there.
Yeah.
We double checked.
It's a problem.
It's a problem, yeah.
Say something quick. So we can look at me, working with Sadie, the board as the kind of the guy in charge, I guess, of content creation. But everybody, okay, everybody can capture content and feed it into the system. And a lot of it can be used. Like Greg was talking about how important this is. Sadie was talking about the B-roll. If you guys come across something, it looks interesting, it looks compelling, it speaks of Idaho Springs, it energizes you, it compels you, it'll compel other people. Take out your phone, hold it steady, okay, vertical and horizontal, okay, get 5 seconds of whatever, and we'll create some kind of method by which people can upload stuff. This isn't about having the responsibility, but it's fun, okay, it's a fun thing to just be thinking about if you see something that's interesting. Okay, just grab it, okay, but we'll come up, we're just getting into this, so we'll come up with a method by which we'll let you know things that we think you should try to capture and where you can upload it. And it can all go into a content folder and I'll be able to use that content.
How about a digital calendar that you do for charity and fundraising?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll come up, maybe we could have a little meeting and talk about that.
Okay.
More video, you
Yeah.
pay me more right.
Anybody else, updates, business, thoughts, concerns?
Sadie,
Well,
Sadie,
Mark, yes,
it's Margaret.
yes.
Oh. Hey, of course, I came on late, and you may have already covered it, and I can go back and get more info. But have we, positioned ourselves for the town to be involved with the Georgetown hockey weekend stuff?
I'm working on it. That's still a little bit of a challenge. Jessica.
I mean, we were kind of like a day late and $1 short last year. We thought we were gonna be involved and I don't remember the details.
We're working on some things. We have the organizers, the event organizers are gonna be in town in January. We have their information. Thank you to Anonymous, for providing me the information. So I'm working on it. It's challenging. Okay. It's really challenging. Last year we ruffled some feathers and, I can't do that again this year. So what I can do is say that we're working on it, and I can say that there are businesses that are actively seeking ways to talk to them. If you would like information on the event organizers, you as a business could reach out to them. And I will make sure that you have that information. But us as a city, it's challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one thing was, I mean, we were gonna try to have shuttles and stuff so that we had people, well, maybe that's part of a problem too. I'm not sure.
So Georgetown is not supportive of that idea, and it is their event. So, and the county cannot reallocate the roundabout schedule. So we can't crash Georgetown's event in that
Well,
way.
you had a pretty significant digital footprint last year.
We did.
Served a lot of impressions.
We did, we got a
The
lot of
ROI was
impressions. We also ruffled a lot of feathers.
Well, they saw our marketing and they got pissed off.
Yeah,
We do have a team staying with us this year too, so.
yeah, so we do have a team
Way ahead of
staying in
the
Idaho Springs. We do have some businesses that are approaching them about team dinners coming into Idaho Springs since we have large capacity restaurants.
And I will say the organizers of the event, Recess Factory, they really do want to support the area. Of course, it is located in Georgetown, but they've approached me and have the connections to build up the whole space. It's not just about getting them better sponsorships, it's about supporting the area, considering how much we've supported them within the past 2 years.
Yeah.
So we're working on it.
Yeah, it's a process, and Jess is being a wonderful support and helping me navigate this. Obviously, she's very close with the event organizers as she was the reason that they came to Georgetown in the first place. So we do have good forward movement. It's just gonna be a process.
They just don't wanna lose that 10% leakage, which I get,
Yeah.
but if that leakage just stays within our area, that's not the worst, so.
That's, yeah,
One wins, we all win.
Yeah, and as tourism, we are doing nothing.
Yes.
well, you guys have no choice.
We have
We have no choice,
We
but
cannot
we
do
can
nothing.
connect the right people to make this.
And Jess can help support us in connecting the right people with the, so now that's happened, anonymous, thank you. Nobody did that.
That's not good.
Okay,
Yeah, and as tourism, we cannot.
Yeah.
We can email the right people.
Connect people.
Okay, I'm going to officially adjourn us at